Grandma was married before when she came. And when she got to Ellis Island, she had a baby, Uncle Andy. He was 18 months old when she came over, but she wrapped him up to make him look like an infant so she didn't have to pay for him. Here she is with this baby and stranded and have no idea what train or what to take. All she had was a little piece of paper with the address, 313 Penn Street in Phoenixville. And this man from Philadelphia, he came over and he rescued her and he says, come with me. And she went and he got Mom to Philadelphia. That's because that's where he was going.
Grandma was married in Italy and her husband died.
He died here. When she came over, she had the one baby. Well, they had 3 others. Grandma had two sets of triplets. One with her first husband and one with her second husband.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, she had 4 children when her husband died. He died during the flu, the First World War.
Influenza.
And she buried him and her 3 babies in 1 week. The triplets. They were 18 months old.
Oh, how sad.
Yeah, she buried them all. But all she ever kept saying was that she was happy they at least had a box. A lot of them didn't have a box. Yeah.
And what about Grandpa?
Well, that was years later. He came over with his mother. When they got married, she had the 4 children, and Pop had 2, Dolly and Louie.
Okay, so he was married before as well.
Yeah, and his wife died. And that's why he was living in Bridgeport with Mama Z, because Mama Z took care of the kids.
Of Dolly and Louie.
Yeah, Dolly and Louie. Mama Z, I don't know whether you remember her or not. Her father lived in Phoenixville. And he got introduced Pop to Mom, and that's how they got married. I don't know whether they went together or not, but that's how he met Mom. And then after they got married, Aunt Kes, the first pregnancy was triplets, and then me, and then Uncle Tony. But all together, Grandma had 15 kids. From her first husband, there was the 4 living.
Oh.
And the 3 triplets, that's 7.
Ah.
And then with Grandpa, there was another set of triplets, so that makes 10. And Uncle Tony and I is 12. And she had babies that died in infancy. But I never knew that I had half-brothers and sisters. I was dumb, we all were treated like the same.
Well, and of course you were born after they were all together, though.
Yeah.
So probably your older brothers and sisters.
They never said nothing, we all got along good. And until I got older, and I said, they have a different name.
Tell me one of your earliest memories about growing up in that house with all those kids and your mom and dad.
Well, I know we always had Easter, Christmas Eve. Christmas was a big thing, and Easter was always a big holiday. And at Easter, we all, we'd all kneel around the table, and we'd have to pray. And then you'd get the fresh holy water and the palm. And Grandma and Grandpa would bless all the kids and bless all the fruit. And then if they were married, any of them were married, they'd hand it to the man of the family, like Uncle Dominic or Uncle Ann, and they would bless their family and everybody. But that was a tradition. We always got blessed. And I remember we'd be kneeling there, and you had the same seat all the time. And we always had a meal together at night. Like now, half the time they don't eat together.
Yeah.
But we always ate at 5 o'clock when Grandpa came home. The food went on the table. And we all had the same seat. And if you said you didn't like that, you just get up from the table and didn't get nothing special. We're here, you make what they like. I'll tell you, there was always plenty to eat, but there was a lot of meatless meals.
Mm-hmm.
Not much. We all spoke Italian at home. Grandma say, in the house you speak Italian, you learn English in school.
Tell me about the night when you first met Dad, the first time you met him.
We were sitting drinking a Coke at the Candyland. It was called Comus's Candyland. That's what it was called. They sold a lot of candies and ice cream parlor, I guess it was. Rose and I were sitting in there having a Coke. Well, we were in there and finally Squingy comes running in. Come on, we got a ride. They were looking for a ride. They wanted to go to the Bull Tavern. You know, if you went to the Bull Tavern, you were in. That was the place to go. I don't know how they got talking to them. Dad and there was 2 other guys. They volunteered to take us and go. But the damn car, we had to sit in the trunk. There was no back seat.
How many had to sit in the trunk?
3 of us.
Well, there were only 4. Then who got the seat?
Well, there was 2 girls. No, what was it? The 2 girls sat up front with one of the 2 guys because one sat on a lap. Mm-hmm. And then Dad and Rose and I sat in the trunk.
God. Okay, so imagine that. You're locked in the trunk with the boy.
We're not locked. Damn old.
All right, not locked. With the boy who would eventually become your husband. That's romantic.
Well, isn't
like
it?
Out of a
Well,
movie.
there was no signs of that when we were in there. It was just a ride. So then after we got there, it was dead. Nobody was there. I think we had a drink or something. And then we left. They stayed and they took us back. Went back to Phoenixville and there was a place, it was called the Casa Luna. It was another like nightclub. They had an orchestra, you danced, you know, and all that. And they had tables. So we went there and we spent the night there. And then when it was time to go home, I said, I'm not getting in that damn trunk anymore. I'm walking. And Rose was back there. She says, I'm going with you. She says, I don't want to get in there either. So then Dad says, well, I'll walk home. So Rose didn't come then. They squeezed her up front. And Dad and I walked over.
Sounds like a setup.
Yeah. We walked over the bridge. And then after that, we ended up with Bud. And I was with Dad, and we used to double date and go out all the time.
What kind of stuff would you do?
Nothing. Go out to dinner, up to Trainers.
Did you go dancing?
Yeah, we went to dancing, and we went to the movies, and, you know, but not too long, because then Dad, and this was in, I guess, July or August, and Dad went into service in September.
Wow, so you didn't know him very well.
I didn't know him that well, no. Mm-hmm. No, after the party, I think we had a couple dates. And then he come up the one night and he told me that he was leaving the next. I was in bed. It was late at night. Grandpapa and Grandma were up and he come up and he said he was leaving the next day to go in the Marines. He was drafted and he didn't want to go in the Army. So he went to the Marines, so that's why he was leaving early. Mm-hmm. And he went into the Marines. And he says to me, would I wait for him? I says, no. I didn't know him. I says, no. He said, well, will you write if I write? I says, yeah. So he wrote and I answered, you know. And I got tired writing, you know, after a while. And you know, when he went in, he never got, you know, after basic training, they used to send you home. Well, he never got home. He went right overseas. Over in the South Pacific. And I thought, oh, I was tell the girls, I'm going to send him a letter saying not to write no more. You can't do that. He'll get killed over there. Worrying, you know, and all that, you know. So it so happened, Rose, she was nuts, you know. She says to him, you can't do that. She says, I'll help you write the letters. And she would write some of the letters.
I love that. And in the meantime, you're going down to meet his mom and meet
Not until about 3 months afterwards, around Christmas time. He kept writing and saying to me, you got to go meet my mother. My mother wants to meet you, you know, and all this. But then when Rosemary called is when I really went.
And so then you started having visits with them.
Yeah.
Got to know them.
Mm-hmm. Got to know them. Then.
How long was it before you actually saw Dad again?
18 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So over a year, almost
Over
a
a
year and a
year.
half.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Dad comes home.
He come home in April. I didn't even know that he was coming home. I was shopping for Easter outfit in Norristown. My girlfriends, where one of us was, there was always four. We were in Norristown shopping on Main Street, and all of a sudden I hear Cut screaming. And we all turned around and it was him. He was sneaking up behind us. So that was the
Was he in his uniform?
He was in his uniform, yeah.
How did he ask you to marry him? How did he get engaged?
Well, it was my birthday. We went out to dinner, and he had all kind of presents. And then he borrowed a car that time to come up. And he says, "There's something for you in the glove compartment." So I looked in, and there was the ring box.
Was it wrapped up?
No,
How many carats?
I don't think it's any carrots. And
And then did he say, "Will you marry me?"
I says, "What?" He says, "You know what that means?" I says, "Yeah." I says, "Are you sure?" He says, "Well, what do you think I'm coming up for?" So then.
So he didn't actually say, "Will you marry me, Dolores?"
Yeah, he did. But then he made me set the date that night too. We got married in January.
And then did you guys like make out and really get into it?
No.
Mm-mm.
No.
And how old were you at this point?
22.
You lie.
I was 22 when I got married.
When you got married. So, okay, this is September. You set the date. Did he have to go home and ask your parents?
Yep, he did. Yep, he asked Grandpop and Grandma, yep.
But they hardly even knew him.
Oh, I knew him for a year. He was coming.
Mom, don't you think it's just fair that the women do the dishes and the men go into the living room and sit down? Sure.
Hey, Mom!
See?
Oh my God.
She's the matriarch. She decides the rules.
Not on me.